Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Cryptic, and today we will be talking about Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut for PS4 and PS5, mostly the PS5. And we're going to go through how to do the PS5 upgrade if you already own it on PS4, the PS4 version, and what features and benefits you get with the Iki Island and PS5 upgrade, and also whether it's worth your time and money. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Alright, so Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut did come out in the last 24 hours. The Iki Island expansion and the PS5 upgrade are now available. A few people were a bit confused as how to actually get the PS5 upgrade if you already own it as the PlayStation 4 version. Basically, what you want to do, you don't want to go to the PSN store looking for it. It doesn't necessarily come up. The easiest way to do it, if you already own the game and it's installed on your PlayStation 5, you want to either insert the disc if you've got the disc version. If you've got the digital version, just go to the game onto your dashboard, and that should open up the main banner for Ghost of Tsushima, and then the upgrade option will be on the right hand side advertised for you. The upgrade option includes Iki Island and the PS5 Director's Cut upgrade. What then you want to do is click on that. So the prices that you're seeing on screen though now are the Australian prices, not the American USD prices. These are $29.95 for the Iki Island on its own, and about $15 more for the Director's Cut upgrade to PS5. So altogether it's bundled for $44.95 Australian dollars. So you want to click on that, and then it will tell you that you're eligible for this version because you either own the physical disc version or the digital version, and that you're eligible for the upgrade. Now, if you've got the disc version, you've always got to insert the disc, obviously, because that's your license key essentially for the game. So you want to go through that, click OK, and then go through your preferred payment method, and then it will start downloading. The total file size on PS5 for the PS5 version is about 60 gigabytes to 61 gigabytes. That includes Iki Island, the Director's Cut upgrade, and the base game. So it's not too large. It's a respectable size. I thought it might be a bit less considering the compression abilities on the PlayStation 5, but considering it's technically a PS4 game, it might not be utilizing the full technology in the compression, but it is utilizing the SSD, which we'll get to later. So once you get in, what are the benefits that you're getting? So basically, as we know, the PS4 version running in backwards compatibility on the PlayStation 5 already unlocked it to 60 frames per second. That was even adding it to fidelity mode, which let it run at native 1800p, scaling up to 4K. Now it runs at proper 4K, although it is a form of checkerboard rendering. It is 4K 60. You still have the option to go between fidelity and frame rate. The frame rate option is absolutely useless. It just lowers the resolution and the texture qualities and lighting qualities to still maintain 60, which is not needed at all. You can run it on the full fidelity mode for graphics, get the full 4K, 60 frames per second, and it still feels like it has plenty of headroom. It does not dip at all. The only time you could potentially get the frame rate to dip is if you're in photo mode and you bombard the scene with just particle effects and a whole bunch of effects in a very small, field of view, which is standard for just about anything. You put enough particles or generate enough geometry in a scene, you can get the frame rate to dip. That's nothing crazy, but those are in still moments. But just playing the game through combat, through exploration, through everything, it is a solid 60 from start to finish at 4K, which is fantastic. Speaking of the SSD previously, it does actually have next to zero loading times. I know I was skeptical to see how much the loading times would improve over the PS4 version, considering on the PS4 the loading times was super fast, just a few seconds here or there and you were into where you were. They've also changed the cutscenes. So before they were pre-rendered to hide a lot of the loading happening, to go from one area to another. Now the cutscenes are actually in real time, which is Personally, I prefer that because it keeps the consistency of the art style, graphical fidelity from gameplay to storytelling in a game. So it keeps that immersion going without it, going look like, oh look, looks like the visuals have changed slightly or they've improved a bit, and it sort of throws you, oh yeah, that's right, I'm playing a game here, or I'm watching a movie sort of effect. It doesn't do that anymore since everything is now in-engine properly. Those scenes that are in-engine cutscenes, they still run at 30, not at the 60, but that I think with the developers through the interviews and blogs have stated that they wanted to keep that cinematic effect for like the Kurosawa sort of Japanese movie thing. So when you're watching these scenes, it feels like you're watching, a Japanese samurai movie. So that's fine. But as soon as you load in from, let's say, one location to another, whether you're fast traveling, going to a new area, whatever it may be, there's barely even a fade to black. You will literally start to fade to black and then bang, you're just there at the new area. There's like no loading times whatsoever. So they've really outdone themselves, Sucker Punch, to utilize the internal SSD on the PlayStation 5 for those loading times, or lack of any loading times. Visually, everything looks better, smoother, animations look great. Again, running at 60 frames per second, you wouldn't expect anything less with the animations. The textures look amazing, especially when you're going into the clothing and the katana and the bow skins that you can apply for the different looks and materials. You actually feel like you're applying those materials. When you switch to a wood material, there's wood grains. When you switch to a metal material, you got that sheen of the metal. The materials look a lot more realistic, and it really, you actually spend some time rotating the objects around to see all the details, because you'll be like, wow, this looks really, really good. So the bump in textures, the bump in resolution has done a lot, not just for the gameplay, but also for the art, and letting the developers' work really shine through as they would have intended it to be when they were originally creating the game, to have that level of detail. Lighting looks amazing, colors, and the HDR. If you're doing this out of a HDR enabled monitor or preferably a TV, it's going to look fantastic. The colors pop, the light shines, the detail is amazing, especially in the darker areas, being able to keep all the shadow detail with the vibrant colors and the different lighting elements that are happening on screen at any given time looks amazing. So visually, fantastic. The map itself is quite large. You could either say it's the first area or the second area size in map, and it is quite dense. There is a lot to do. You have a lot of new mechanics and returning mechanics, new characters and returning characters. With the new mechanics, you have the animal sanctuaries, where you have playing the flute mini game, where you use the motion controls on the PS5 controller or PS4 controller to play the flute in the high notes and the low notes and mid notes, to pretty much play a song, which, depending on the animal sanctuary that you're in, they've got their own unique song, which also helps open up the story or the backstory between Jin and his mother, and all the relationships, stuff that they went through or he went through. So a lot more backstory for the character is fleshed out in this DLC, which personally is great, because it left a lot of stuff in the dark. We knew that he was close to his mother, he clearly had some tension with his father, but you really didn't know too much. And through this expansion, you really learn a lot more about Jin's background, and his parents. So whenever you do the animal sanctuary stuff, that's all in regards to his mother. You do have other flashbacks which you can play out depending what items you interact with or people you interact with. You do get flashbacks. The flashbacks are related to a main game mechanic that happens in the main story, which I'm not going to really go into too much detail or spoil here, because I want you guys, if you are wanting to play this, to experience that for yourself, untouched, without anything spoiled for you. But you do get flashbacks of the previous characters that you met in the base game, and a lot to do with his father and his relationship with his father, and the events that happened in Jin's past. So you do learn a lot about what Jin went through leading up to now and where he is now in the game. You've also got the bamboo strikes. They're back. they obviously do the same thing and building your meter up as well when you're doing your special moves, and those meters reduce and you get more of them. They've come back. You've also got new arrow challenges. They're sort of like a race against the clock to see how quickly you can do them, and there's a bronze, silver or gold time limits there to achieve, and you unlock items through that as well. You also still do the haikus. You still, like I said, the bamboo strike. The Mongol outposts, of course, are back. New Mongol forces are in Iki Island with their own mechanics and new main enemy that you want to go up against. So far, from what I've played, let's see here, nearing up about 6-7 hours of the game. So far it's great. It really does well for you to actually want to go after the main enemy. I'd say probably more so than the base game did, even though the base game did really well. It's more at a, I guess, even more personal level because you've been affected directly now by what they've done. Hopefully, again, without spoiling too much for you guys. And they're always there, haunting you, teasing you, trying to get under your skin and into your mind and all that sort of stuff. So they've done really, really well to make this villain stand out and be unique compared to, a lot of games can be made or broken by the villains that they have. And I think the Sucker Punch have done a really, really good job with this one and introducing really interesting gameplay mechanics and features to the Iki Island expansion that are quite unique and interesting to do. Now, so far, going by all the side quests, the main story, and how far I've been able to complete so far, I'd say it's a comfortable 15 to 20 hours for the expansion. So it is a really good size, especially for the price if you're just getting the expansion. But of course, it's not just the expansion here, it's also the director's cut, which is the PS5 upgrade, right, to the game. Is it worth it? And it's not done in a way that other games that we know are done, especially when they've had a PS5 version upgrade. It's usually been for free, whatever that upgrade entails, whether it be an increase in resolution, frame rate, or any other improvements that have come along because of the additional hardware. And unfortunately here you're paying anywhere between $10 to $15 more for the upgrade to get the PS5 upgrade, which is a director's cut, on addition on top of buying the Iki Island expansion. And personally for me, I'm not really cool with that. Not cool with that at all. You've already paid for the PS5 console. You've paid your $5, $6, $7, whatever, hundreds of dollars to get that console. You should be able to enjoy the benefits of that game, the additional upgrades to the game that you're playing without having to go and pay extra for it behind a paywall. Now, I know with Sucker Punch, they did do the whole Legends mode as like a surprise free upgrade, and they've been adding content to that and updates, and it's greatly appreciated. But I think this is something that's come probably from Sony themselves, from PlayStation, not so much from Sucker Punch, where they wanted to charge extra for the Director's Cut upgrade for the PlayStation 5. And that just shouldn't happen. The best analogy I can give you for this, for people who might be struggling to understand, it's like, let's say you're playing your favorite RPG on the PC, whether that be Skyrim, The Witcher, anything else that's come out recently, right? Or even here's a good example: Horizon Zero Dawn. You're playing Horizon Zero Dawn on PC, right? You've bought that on Steam. You're playing it. You had a graphics card in there and CPU setup that let you get about 30 frames per second at 1080p. That was the best that you could run it at. You then go and upgrade your PC with the latest GPU and CPU, right? You got an RTX 3080, you went balls to the walls, you bought the latest and best technology. You run your favorite game again, which is, in this case, Horizon Zero Dawn on PC. And now you're able to run that game at 4K 60. You didn't have to pay any extra for the software side to play it at 4K 60, but you did pay for the hardware to enable you to do that. And it's the same thing here with the PlayStation 5. You've gone from your PlayStation 4 and bought a PlayStation 5. You paid for the hardware. You should be able to access those performance upgrades, those benefits and features to the game. You shouldn't have to pay $10, $15 for it, regardless of what other goodwill that the developer has done, whether they've given out a whole new game modes or whole campaigns for free. This is a hardware accelerated improvement, and everyone who has said hardware should be able to gain access to it for no extra money. And I think that should be the industry standard across the board, whether you're on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, anything, right? You shouldn't have to pay extra for an upgrade like that. It's not right, and it's definitely not consumer friendly. It's definitely anti-consumer, and I'm calling out Sony on that. That's not the right way to do things. But with that aside, is Ghost of Tsushima, Iki Island Director's Cut worth your while? Yes, they're great. It's more Ghost of Tsushima. It's improved mechanics. It is a proper expansion done in the vein of The Witcher, Blood and Wine, and Hearts of Stone. It is a huge, a good chunk of story with new mechanics, returning mechanics, and more of what you love. And the DLC itself is priced out well. I just wished, and I wish they would reconsider doing the PS5 upgrade free, because you already own the PS5. You already paid that money to have those benefits that come with the PlayStation 5. You shouldn't have to pay more for that on top. But yeah, overall, yes, it is worth it. Whether you get the director's cut, that's entirely up to you. Again, you already get the 60 FPS running in backwards compatibility mode as it runs on the PS4 Pro version on the PlayStation 5. Whether you want that resolution bump to proper 4K, that's up to you, whether you think it's worth it. Are you going to be playing it with Japanese voice actors, and you want the Japanese lip sync to be synced in? Like, you don't get that if you don't have the director's cut on PS5. That's only available there because the hardware allows it, and they're able to load a second set of animations into the memory without it bottlenecking anything, which unfortunately on the PS4 and PS4 Pro, it's limited. Similar to what you got with the GTA 5 going from PS3 to PS4, they were able to add a first-person mode with the increased buffer in memory, allowing a second set of animations to be loaded. It's similar in that vein, so it's not like they're really doing anything dodgy there on the developer side. It is hardware limited, and the PS5 removes that limitation for them to be able to have both versions of animations for the lip syncing and voice acting. But yeah, yes, it's worth it, but they also need to get rid of that price on the PS5 upgrade. It should just be there, automatic free. So yeah, guys, that's the end of the video. If you found that helpful, please hit that thumbs up button. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Any questions you guys might have, like all my other videos, I'm happy to engage and just ask and just talk with you guys and help where I can, and just talk anything and everything gaming and tech. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and share it with your friends. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. See ya.